Survival training started. They have to search for clean water to drink. While walking, they saw a purple lake. Arriving there, they see roanas, a type of insect that lives only in clean water. Rico wanted to drink it, but all of a sudden a beast, named Hippopotamus, came out and attacked her, but luckily Rag was able to save her. After that, they immediately collect materials for surviving, build tents and make fire. The third day has come and Ozone with her friends are watching both of them. On day 5 they made a plan to catch the hippopotamus. Rico uses dung and catches it on fire to lure the hippopotamus. After happily getting baited, Rico opens the flashlight to blind it and Rag ties up the hippo. They succeed in capturing hippo. They grill and eat the meat of hippo they caught and it is quite delicious. They survived, passed 10 days and went back and Marulk greets them with a smile. When Rag put his helmet on, there was another strange pattern appearing. They dined together with Ozone. Ozone shares her experience. Sense of time goes mad on the deeper layers, especially 5th layer. She wanted to stay for a few weeks, but months passed when she returned to the surface. Ozone told them not to run into another white whistle. The depth of the 5th layer, which is the sea of corpses, is deep enough for humans to walk and survive. Some of them may be there, sovereigns of guidance, Waikuna the chosen. The sovereign of mystery, Sraho of the mysterious. The sovereign of dawn, Bondrewd the novel. Bondrewd in particular is an outspoken villain. Ozone still wants to know who wrote the letter that says it's waiting behind the netherworld. Because it's not Liza who wrote that, the paper is an unknown relic that even Ozone cannot rip it apart. Ozone asks Rico to follow her and she gives Rico Blaze Reap the everlasting pickaxe. She also teaches Rico how to use it. Ozone shared with them something that people don't know. The white whistle can be used as a key to activate certain relic classes. The mysterious ring of the 7 layers that one of the few white whistles has seen. The day of parting has come. Marulk is very sad that they left. They saw the depth of the 3rd layer, the Great Fault. They enter using a small shaft, following the path until the exit hole. They saw Matokajak. They move to another exit hole after sacrificing a few beasts so Matokajak gets distracted. Arriving at the new path they followed a little beast and arrived at the part of the ship from a long time ago. Rico is so excited to find a new relic in an abandoned ship. But it turns out to be Matokajak lair. Rag uses the incinerator to shoot the Matokajak. Yet another creature, Crimson Splitjaw, came and chased them. It's the same Splitjaw that chased Rico before because there is a scar on its head from Rag incinerator. A little beast blocks their way. Rag can't endure it anymore and wants to faint because of the incinerator. Fortunately the little beast got scared so they scattered and both of them successfully got away. Rag fainted and Rico was hungry but they were safe for now. Rico has to get going and she drags Rag using his robot hand. When she almost ran out of energy, she smelled food and immediately followed the smell. But it turns out to be another creature called Amicagame and Rico got trapped inside its stomach. Rico tried to get out by stabbing the inside with a knife but it bounced away. But she tried again many times until she succeeded in getting out. Many little beasts come and try to eat Rico, because she smelled like barracuda fruit. Rico ran and finally found a light. They can get out but she has to ascend. Rico tried ascending and the curse of the 3rd layer started to affect her. Headache, dizziness, severe nausea, and problem with sense of balance. She hallucinated seeing Marulk, Ozone and others, even Liza is there. Liza asks Rico to go back to Earth, and she goes back, everyone welcomes her for coming back, and runs with happiness. But Rico realized that Rag is not with her and still in the abyss. She cried, screamed that she didn't want to get separated from Rag. After that she realizes that it's all just hallucination. Annoying Crimson Splitjaw has come again. Rico at once prepared her weapon and Rag woke up at the right time, and immediately punched Splitjaw in the face. Rico gives the pickaxe to Rag and he uses it to defeat the Crimson Splitjaw. They are now 6,750 meters deep and see the 4th layer, Goblet of Giants. They walk into a goblet full of giants to test the water, which is just hot water. The landscape is blue because the steam they emit mixes with the light from the force field. Rumor has it that the crane prey catching mechanism stretches out before it dies every 2,000 years. The vegetation beneath it is now fully grown, creating a whole new landscape. They are very amazed by the landscape. The 4th layer, commonly referred to as part of the depth, is less likely to come back from this tier than the 3rd layer. Sprawling out here are the netherworld goblets, which fill up and spill out various life and aspirations. They find a place to camp and rest. When they talk about the type of octopus, Rag feels a strange presence. When they talk it moves, when they are silent it doesn't move. They are moving again. Rico is tired and has to find another campsite. Rag sensed something behind him, and it was Orbed Piercer. Orbed Piercer horn can pierce steel and have poison in it. It has killed over 100 cave riders and they are fast at escaping. Their backpack got hit. Rico Blaze Reaps also got kicked by it. It has amazing intuition. They use the scaled umbrella. It recoils from things bigger than itself, but the scale umbrella was pierced and Rico got stabbed in the hand. The poison will spread through her body, so it must be quickly removed. Rag pulled the thorn and tied Rico's hand to keep the poison from spreading. Rag thought hard of a way to overcome this, and decided to climb up knowing the consequences could cause severe pain and bleeding throughout Rico's body. He succeeded in running away from Orbed Piercer, but Rico is still in pain. Rico hallucinates and blood is coming out from her face. She asks Rag to stop the bleeding, yet he can't do anything. The wound swelled many times its normal size. When he tried to remove her gloves, she screamed in pain. Rico desperately asked Rag to cut off her hand. Rag has no choice but to do it. He broke her bones to cut it easier, but he still hesitates. A lot of bugs suddenly came. Rag is so desperate that she's not breathing. He cried. Suddenly, a hollow named Nanachi came to help and said Rico's heart is still beating and asked him to give Rico respiration. He is relieved that she finally got her breath back. She instructed him to hold a branch in her hand and tie it, and asked him to follow her to her hiding place. After passing through the tunnel, there is a green area and a hideout. Nanachi helped treat Rico, cutting her tie to allow the poison to flow through her body and using a wax-hardened potion to remove the poison. She sticks it in Rico's butthole. With her hands, she removes shattered bone shards and stitches her veins and flesh together. Rico looks better. It turns out that Nanachi was the one that Rag felt the presence of earlier. She watches them as they enter the fourth layer. She doesn't intend to show up from the beginning, but she feels pity for Rag, who said that Rico don't leave me, and decided to help them. Someone else lived there and Nanachi introduced her to Rag. Her name is Mitty. Rag is surprised and says, "What is that?" Nanachi explains that the curse when ascending from the sixth layer is loss of humanity, or death. There are many cave riders that become hollow, but a fellow cave rider will kill it and collect their belongings before moving on. Revealing herself is a big risk, yet Nanachi tells him that she is the living proof that it's possible to return from the sixth layer while maintaining humanity. Nanachi asks Rag to find many materials to heal Rico. Demon fish, hammerbeak eggs, but can only take one egg per nest, yellow bright grass, the one that smells is better, and the last one is mushroom bear that is infected by water shrooms. After Rag obtains all the materials, he rushes back and sees Nanachi strip Rico. She asks him to wash Rico's clothes because they are covered in blood and pee. Water shrooms are parasites. When their host who has left the cave prepares to kick in the bucket, they will share the stored nutrients and revive their host. If the fungus in the new burrow increases, it will be more water shrooms. She planted it in Rico's hand and it should help the bones heal a bit. It also helps keep the flesh from rotting. Rag was shocked to hear that the rest of the ingredients were for Nanachi's dinner. The water shroom is growing. It will be the one who saves Rico's life. Rag is so thankful to Nanachi. Rag went to wash Rico's clothes on the riverbed in the back. As he walked, he saw the flower of fortitude and saw a tombstone. Suddenly he remembered something. He saw a tombstone there with a blaze reap there. He was confused about where it was. He also had a blue necklace, and suddenly Nanachi touched Rag from behind, returning him to the present. She was confused that Rag was staring intently at a girl's pee-stained clothes. He tried to explain, but he was also confused. When he returns and reflects on his memories, he panics when he sees that Mitty wants to eat Rico. It turns out Mitty was a girl the same age as Rico before, and she develops an emotional attachment to Rico. Nanachi explained that Mitty is the one that took out the poison from Rico's body. The drug for the poison was made by injecting Mitty with the orb penetrating poison, because Mitty has the ability to neutralize her poison on her own. Nanachi finished her cooking, but Rag doesn't have an appetite because it tasted bad. Nanachi uses fog weave, a third-class relic, to explain the concept of the abyss curse to Rag, which is basically an ultra-thin fabric. The essence of the curse of the abyss floats in the same layers, and she covers it. They can't touch it, they can't see it. When they move along. A simple breath is enough to turn that tide. When they touch it, it just distorts. As soon as they break through, the symptoms will attack at once. Eventually, something terribly bad happens. It flows like an upside-down thorn, and once it enters, it never comes out. It's like a trap for catching prey. It's a force field that carries light into the underworld while impeding observation, and stubbornly protects the essence and order of the underworld. This is the mystical force field. This is the essence of the abyss. There is no way out. The force field is sensitive to the movement of living organisms. It also reacts to their different consciousnesses and changes its course. She added that Orbed Piercer doesn't have great intuition and it actually predicts the future. So, challenging the netherworld means staying on a path riddled with deadly curses while battling predators that can predict the future. She put a talking device on Rag's helmet and let him experience it, and he has to do as she says. He can hear her and follows her instructions. Someone blows a whistle, and he rushes in. A black whistle is fighting Orbed Piercer. Rag wants to win and save the old man, so Nanachi gives him instruction, and tells Rag to trust her, don't doubt her. Rag agrees and Nanachi tells him to look up. When looking up, from the Orbed Piercer point of view there is a release of energy from Rag body. After getting scared, Nanachi tells Rag to jump hard to the right, and he grabs the organ it uses to sense the force fields. He held it so tight even after getting stabbed. Nanachi tells him to beat him up and Rag uses his incinerator. Nanachi is shocked about the power that the incinerator gives out. After successfully beating it, he went to the Black Whistle old man and asked to relay a message to Belchero Orphanage that they're continuing the adventure. Rag returned to Nanachi. He was very grateful to her, but she asked him to kill Mitty for her sake. 10 minutes after that, Rag falls asleep for the next 2 hours. Nanachi originated from a slum. She wishes to go to the bottom of the abyss to change her life. One day Bondrewd the White Whistle invite many children from the slum to go to the abyss. They used machine aircraft and went straight until the 5th layer. Nanachi meets Mitty at the aircraft and becomes her partner. Mitty is a very optimistic girl and desires to become a White Whistle, while Nanachi just wants to go to the abyss. They spend a lot of time together. When they finally arrive, Nanachi is frightened to see a beautiful purple layer. The children all went into a room and were called one by one. They wait their turn and finally Mitty is called and Nanachi is the only one left. Nanachi is curious and goes outside the room. When looking out she hears that this is some kind of human experiment and rushes to find Mitty. Nanachi finds Mitty is already inside the test tube. The test is to experiment about the curse of the abyss. Bondrewd dropped the children to the 6th floor of the abyss and pulled it back. Many of the children that failed became a hollow. Nanachi is forced to help with the experiment. Both of them were inside the tube and got dropped to the 6th floor. At the bottom they saw many of the children that became hollow. When going up they both transform into a hollow, but Nanachi is different from the others. After Nanachi is forced to help with the experiment, Bondrewd takes her to Mitty and reveals that he is experimenting on her. Mitty has 2 curses, losing humanity and can't die. She was in so much pain that Nanachi couldn't stand it, so she ran away with Mitty at night. She also tries to heal Mitty, but it doesn't help and she only suffers more. There was a relic similar to Rag Incinerator. He called it the Returning Light. Bondrewd squashes one of Mitty's eyes with it, and it's the only part of her that doesn't regenerate. The point hit disappeared as if completely undone. She asks him to kill Mitty using an incinerator to end her suffering, but Rag doubts about Mitty losing all her humanity and asks for time to think. Rag realizes after looking at the room, the vast amount of medicine and poison for restoring Mitty's dignity. At night, when Nanachi wanted to cook dinner, Rag hurriedly volunteered to cook. As a result, it tastes worse than what Nanachi made. Another day has come and Nanachi gives Rag more understanding of Mitty life. If she doesn't die, it will just prolong her suffering. Rag asks her to promise not to commit suicide after Mitty dies. After making the promise, Rag decides to kill Mitty. The next day, Nanachi set a place for Mitty. Rag is downhearted but still kept his promise and used the incinerator. In the middle of using it, Nanachi disrupts Rag and says her final goodbye to Mitty. After saying final goodbye, Rag proceeds to end Mitty's life. The next morning, something smells good. Rag is joyful seeing that Riko is finally awake. When Nanachi is cooking, Riko strokes her fur, and Rag does it too. When eating together, Nanachi cried because the food tasted so good. Suddenly Riko asks both of them that, wasn't someone else that lives here too? She tells both of them about having a scary nightmare and meets someone there that has a scarier nightmare than Riko, that helps her calm down, but suddenly her cries stop and a girl appears, that makes Riko remember about what she wanted to be, and wakes up. At night, the two of them went to a beautiful lake together and wanted to bathe, and Nanachi guarded them from blood-sucking insects. Riko is in a lot of pain and the wounds leave scars. Done bathing, Nanachi proceeds to cut the mushroom in Riko's arm. After that, Riko is doing her rehabilitation and they send a message to the orphanage using a small air balloon. They also organize their gear to continue the journey. This is it for Season 1 Made in Abyss. What adventure will they take on next? Turn on notification bell so you don't miss out on the movie recapped. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.